My name is Grace. I am 29 years old. I live in a small town in England. I work in an office. My job is busy and sometimes a little boring. I sit at a desk and look at a computer all day. I talk to customers and write emails. The people at work are nice, but I needed a break. I needed something new and fun. One morning, I woke up and said, "I want to go to America." I smiled. It was a big dream for me. I saved money for a long time. I always wanted to see Las Vegas and New York City. I watched videos online and looked at pictures. The lights, the tall buildings, the people, it all looked so exciting. 2 months later, I bought my ticket. I felt happy and a little nervous. I packed my suitcase with clothes, shoes, and a big smile. My flight was long. I flew from London to Las Vegas. It was my first time on such a long trip. I watched movies and listened to music. When I landed, it was sunny and hot. The sky was blue and the air felt dry. Las Vegas was like a dream. The city was full of lights and colors. At night, everything looked like a big party. I stayed in a hotel on the main street. It was called the Strip. There were many hotels, each one bigger and brighter than the last. Some looked like castles. Some had water fountains that danced. One hotel had a big roller coaster on top. The first day, I walked around the city. I saw people laughing, singing, and taking pictures. I walked into shops with shiny clothes and strange gifts. I ate a hot dog with onions and mustard. I drank cold lemonade. I watched street dancers and listened to music. I didn't feel tired. I felt alive. That evening, I went to a show. It was full of dancers in colorful clothes. They moved fast and smiled all the time. The music was loud and fun. I clapped and smiled the whole time. After the show, I walked back to my hotel. The air was still warm. I looked up at the stars and thought, this is the best night of my life. The next day, I visited a big red canyon. I took a bus with other tourists. We drove for many hours. The land was dry and wide. I saw tall rocks, small trees, and birds flying high. When we reached the canyon, I stood near the edge and looked down. It was deep and beautiful. I felt small but happy. I took many pictures and talked with other travelers. Back in the city, I tried something new. I went to a buffet. The table was full of food. I saw pizza, pasta, rice, meat, fish, fruit, and many cakes. I smiled and said, "Where do I start?" I took a little bit of everything. I ate slowly and enjoyed each bite. My favorite was a sweet chocolate cake. It was soft and rich. On my last night in Las Vegas, I walked again along the Strip. The lights were bright. People danced in the street. A man played a saxophone on the corner. I gave him $1 and smiled. He played a soft, happy tune. I stood there and listened. I felt free and full of joy. The next morning, I flew to New York City. The plane ride was short. When I arrived, the sky was cloudy, but I didn't mind. I took a taxi to my hotel. The driver was friendly. He told me about the best places to eat and visit. I wrote the names in my phone. New York was very different from Las Vegas. It was busy and full of people walking fast. The buildings were tall and close together. I saw yellow taxis, food trucks, and people selling things on the street. My hotel was small but clean. I had a window with a view of the city. On the first day, I walked to Central Park. It was big and green. People were running, walking dogs, or reading books on benches. I bought a soft pretzel from a cart. It was warm and salty. I sat under a tree and watched children play. I felt peaceful. Later, I visited Times Square. It was full of lights and noise. The signs were big and colorful. I saw people from many countries. I heard different languages. I smiled at a group of tourists taking selfies. I took one too. I stood near a big sign and took a photo of myself smiling. In the evening, I went to the top of a tall building. It was called the Empire State Building. I took the elevator to the top. From there, I saw the whole city. The lights were beautiful. Cars looked like small toys. I stood there for a long time, just looking. It felt like a movie. The next day, I visited a museum. It had art from many countries. I saw paintings, old clothes, and big statues. I read the signs and learned new things. I felt lucky to see so much beauty in one place. After that, I walked to a famous bridge. It was long and strong. I walked across it and looked at the water below. One night I went to a small restaurant. It was quiet and cozy. The waiter was kind. I ordered pasta with cheese and a soft drink. It was simple but tasty. A couple sat near me and talked softly. A woman at another table read a book. It felt calm and safe. I stayed in New York for 5 days. Each day, I did something new. I visited the Statue of Liberty. I went on a boat and saw the big green statue. I learned about history and saw the city from the water. I took many pictures and bought a small keychain as a memory. I also visited a market full of local food and handmade things. I bought a small bag made by a woman from the city. I talked to her about her work. She smiled and said, "I make these with love." I thanked her and said I would take care of it. On my last day, I walked through the city one more time. I looked at the buildings, the people, and the shops. I felt happy, but also a little sad. I did not want to leave. I had many good memories. I learned so much. I saw new places. I met kind people. As I sat on the plane back to England, I looked out the window and smiled. I was tired but full of joy. This trip changed me. I felt stronger and more alive. I knew I would remember this journey forever. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. When I returned to my hotel that night, I felt proud. I had walked so much, seen so many things, and done it all on my own. I never felt afraid. People in New York were busy, but many were kind. Some helped me with directions. Some just smiled when I said hello. The city was loud and fast, but I felt welcome. The next morning, I woke up early. I wanted to take a bus tour. I found a red double-decker bus. It stopped at many famous places. I sat on the top deck in the open air. A guide spoke into a microphone. He told stories about the city. I saw tall buildings, old churches, and big shops. I saw places I had only seen in movies. I took many photos and enjoyed the cool wind on my face. One stop was near a tall building with a round roof. It was a library. I went inside. It was quiet and beautiful. There were high ceilings, big windows, and rows of books. I walked around and looked at the rooms. People sat reading and writing. I liked the peaceful feeling. It was a nice break from the busy streets. Later, I went to a food market. It was inside an old building. The smell was wonderful. I walked past small stalls. I saw bread, cheese, fruit, and fresh flowers. One stall had cupcakes. I bought one with pink icing. It was soft and sweet. I sat on a bench near a window and ate it slowly. I watched people come and go. Everyone looked happy to be there. That evening, I took the subway. It was fast and full of people. I watched a man play guitar in the station. His music was soft and warm. I gave him a coin and said thank you. I liked how music was everywhere in this city. It made the streets feel alive. The next day, I visited a famous art museum. I walked through many rooms. I saw paintings with bright colors. I saw pictures of people, places, and animals. One painting showed a small house in a green field. It made me feel calm. Another painting had strong red and blue shapes. It made me feel excited. I didn't understand all the art, but I liked how it made me feel. After the museum, I went to a bakery. I wanted something sweet. The woman behind the counter smiled and helped me choose. I picked a slice of apple pie. It was warm and full of soft fruit. I drank a small cup of coffee, too. I sat by the window and watched the rain outside. It was soft and quiet. I liked that moment. I felt warm and peaceful. The rain stopped, and I walked to a small bookstore. It had a red door and old wood floors. I walked inside and saw shelves full of books. The smell was nice. I picked up a small book with pictures of the city. I bought it as a gift for my friend in England. I also bought a postcard. It had the New York skyline at night. I smiled when I looked at it. One morning, I took a boat trip around the city. The water was calm. The sky was clear. The guide spoke into a speaker. He pointed to bridges, islands, and tall buildings. We saw the Statue of Liberty again. It looked even bigger from the boat. I took more photos and felt the cool wind on my face. I closed my eyes for a moment and just listened to the waves. Later that day, I went to a park with a big fountain. Children played and people sat on the grass. I took off my shoes and walked in the soft grass. It felt nice. I lay down and looked up at the sky. I felt light and free. A woman near me was drawing. A man was reading a book. A dog ran in circles and barked with joy. I smiled at it. In the evening, I went to see a play. It was in a small theater. The stage was close, and the actors were full of energy. The story was funny and sweet. I laughed many times. People clapped at the end. I clapped too. It was a good way to end the day. On my last day in New York, I wanted to walk with no plan. I put on my shoes and stepped outside. I turned left, then right, just following the streets. I saw small shops, a group of dancers, and a man painting on the sidewalk. I stopped at a small cafe. I ordered a sandwich and orange juice. I sat outside and watched the world go by. I saw a little girl drop her toy. A boy picked it up and gave it back to her. She smiled and said thank you. It was a small thing, but it made me happy. This city had so much life and so many small moments of kindness. Before I went back to my hotel, I stopped at one last shop. I bought a small silver ring. It was simple and shiny. I wanted something to remind me of this trip. Every time I look at it, I will remember the lights, the sounds, the places, and the people. That night, I packed my suitcase. I placed my gifts and clothes inside. I sat on the bed and looked around the room. I felt thankful. This trip was more than fun. It gave me new energy. It gave me a fresh look at life. I learned that the world is big and there is so much to see. In the morning, I went to the airport. I checked my bag and found my seat. As the plane left the ground, I looked out the window. The city got smaller and smaller. I smiled and thought, I will come back one day. On the way home, I thought about everything I had done. I had eaten new food, seen new art, walked new streets, and heard new voices. I felt full of good memories. I knew I would tell my friends and family all about it. But some feelings I would keep just for me. Back in England, the air was cool and soft. My home looked the same, but I felt different. I took a deep breath and smiled. My trip was over, but my story had just begun. After I returned home, everything felt quiet. The streets in my town were small. The buildings were low. The sky looked soft and gray. But I didn't feel sad. I felt calm. I put my suitcase in the corner and sat on the sofa. I looked around my room. It was still the same, but I was not the same. The next day, I went back to work. My coworkers asked about my trip. I smiled and said, it was amazing. They wanted to hear everything. At lunch, I told them about the lights in Las Vegas and the tall buildings in New York. I showed them some pictures. One friend said, "You look so happy in these." I nodded. I really was. During the week, I started to notice changes in myself. I walked with more energy. I smiled more. I felt more open and free. At work, I had more ideas. I helped a new coworker who didn't know much. I was patient and kind. I felt proud of that. On the weekend, I met my best friend Emma. We had tea in a small cafe. I told her all about my trip. I told her about the food, the people, the shows, the parks, and the boat rides. She listened and asked many questions. I gave her the small book I bought from the New York bookstore. She smiled and hugged me. "You sound different," she said. "Do I?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "You sound brighter." I laughed. "Maybe the trip helped me see life in a new way." She smiled again. "I want to go too now." "You should," I said. "You really should." That night, I looked at the photos again. I didn't feel like I wanted to go back right away. I just felt happy I had gone. I remembered walking alone in Central Park. I remembered the sweet apple pie in the small bakery. I remembered the warm sun in Las Vegas and the lights that never turned off. Every memory felt like a gift. A few days later, I started a small project. I wanted to bring a bit of that travel feeling into my daily life. So I started walking more. I looked at my own town with fresh eyes. I visited the local museum. I tried a new bakery. I smiled at strangers. I took photos of small things, flowers, windows, clouds. One day, I saw a tourist in town. She looked a little lost. I walked up to her and asked if she needed help. She smiled and showed me a map. I helped her find her hotel. She thanked me again and again. I felt good. I remembered how kind people were to me in America. Now, I could do the same. Weeks passed, and my heart still felt full. I didn't need big things. I didn't need more money or new clothes. I just needed time, good people, and small moments of joy. That was something I learned on my trip. The world is big, but we all want the same things: to smile, to feel safe, to see something new. At work, I gave a small talk about my holiday. My boss asked me to share my story with the team. I stood in front of the group and told them about my travels. I spoke slowly and clearly. I showed a few pictures and told short stories. People laughed and clapped. One coworker said, "I never thought about going to New York, but now I want to." That made me happy. If my story could help someone else dream bigger, then that was something good. Maybe we all need a little push to try something new. Later, I printed one of my photos and put it on my wall. It was the one from the top of the Empire State Building. The city lights looked like stars. I looked at it every morning before work. It reminded me that there is more out there. Life is not just work and home. Life is full of color, sound, and feeling. One weekend, I joined a small group at the library. It was a travel group. People came and talked about their trips. Some spoke about places in Europe. Some talked about places far away. I shared my story too. Everyone listened with interest. A woman said, "You tell it so well. I felt like I was there with you." I thanked her. I liked that feeling. Telling stories brought people together. It was like travel without a plane, just words and feelings. After that, I started writing down little things each day. Not in a diary, but just to remember. A bird I saw on the way to work. A smile from the lady at the shop. A laugh with my friend. I didn't need a big trip to feel joy. I just needed to notice the good things around me. Sometimes I think about my plane ride home. I remember how I looked out the window and thought, this changed me. It was true. I didn't change into a different person. I just became more of myself, more open, more happy, more thankful. One day Emma asked, "Will you travel again?" "Yes," I said. "I don't know when, but I will." And I will. Not just to see new places, but to keep growing, to keep learning, to keep feeling alive. My dream trip to America did not end at the airport. It stayed with me, in my smile, in my steps, in my view of the world. And maybe one day I will go back. Maybe I will walk again in Central Park. Maybe I will listen to music on a busy New York street. Maybe I will eat sweet cake in Las Vegas and watch the lights. But even if I don't, I will always have the memory. That is the magic of travel. It changes you in a quiet way, and it stays with you forever. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon. My name is Isabella. I am 31 years old. Last month I got married. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I planned everything. The dress, the flowers, the guests. It was my dream wedding, and I didn't want anything to go wrong. My husband's name is Mark. He is kind. He is loving. I waited a long time to find someone like him. But Mark was already a father. He has a daughter. Her name is Eva. She is 5 years old. She has big blue eyes and soft brown hair. She is a sweet girl, but I didn't feel close to her. She is not my child. She is his child. I met Mark 3 years ago. He was still healing from his divorce. Eva was just 2 then. She stayed with him every weekend. At first, I didn't know what to do. I tried to be nice. I bought her toys. I smiled at her. But she always ran to her dad. She cried when he left the room. She wanted all his time. I started to feel jealous. I didn't say it out loud, but it was there. I wanted to feel special too. I wanted to be number 1 in his life. When Mark asked me to marry him, I said yes. I was happy, but I had one wish inside my heart. I wanted the wedding day to be just about us. Just Mark and me. Not Eva. Not anyone else. I know it sounds selfish, but that is how I felt. I didn't want to share my day. I didn't want Eva in the wedding photos. I didn't want her in the center. I didn't want her to stand with us. I wanted the photos to show a couple in love, not a full family, just a bride and groom, I did not tell Mark. I was scared he would say no. So I planned everything quietly. I picked my dress. I picked the music. I picked the colors. I also spoke to the photographer. I told him, "Please take pictures of me and Mark only. No kids, no family, just us." The wedding day came. The sky was blue. The sun was warm. The flowers looked perfect. Mark looked very happy. He held my hand and said, "You look beautiful." I smiled. I felt like a princess. Then I saw Eva. She wore a small white dress. Her hair had little flowers. She looked like a tiny angel. She ran to me. She held a pink flower. "Can I be in the pictures too?" she asked. Her eyes were big and full of hope. But I did not smile. I did not feel happy. I bent down and said, "Not now, Eva. These pictures are just for me and your dad." She looked at me for a moment. Her face changed. Her smile was gone. "But I want to stand with Daddy," she whispered. I stood up. "Maybe later, okay? Go sit with Grandma now." She walked away slowly. Her head was down. She did not run. She did not smile. The photographer called us. Mark and I stood under the trees. He kissed my hand. We laughed. I felt happy. I felt proud. I thought, this is my day. This is my moment. The photographer took many pictures. I did not think about Eva again. After the pictures, we had dinner. There was cake. There was music. People were dancing. Eva stayed quiet. She sat with Mark's mother. She ate only a little. She did not talk much. Mark looked at her and asked me, "Did Eva take any pictures with us?" I said, "No, she didn't." He looked surprised. "She wanted one. She told me before." I said, "It was just a couple shoot. She's fine." He didn't speak after that. He just looked at her again. That night we went home. I felt tired but happy. I looked at the wedding pictures on my phone. I looked beautiful. Mark looked happy. But something was missing. Eva was not in any picture, not even in the background. The next day, my friend asked, "Where is your stepdaughter in the photos?" I said, "It was our moment. Just me and Mark." She sent a small face emoji. She didn't say more, but I felt strange. Later that week, I tried to talk to Eva. "Hi, sweetie," I said. "Want to draw with me?" She shook her head. "No," she said. "I want Daddy." She looked at me but did not smile. Her eyes were cold, not sad, just quiet. That night I sat in bed. Mark was reading. I said, "Eva is not the same." He put his book down. "She feels left out," he said. I looked at him. She is a child. She will forget. Mark looked at the wall. Maybe, but not today. He turned off the light. I could not sleep. I kept thinking about Eva. She was only 5. She wanted one picture and one small moment, and I said no. I made her feel like a guest at our wedding. I made her feel like she didn't belong. And now she was pulling away from me. The next morning, she didn't say good morning. She sat at the table and waited for her dad. She didn't look at me. She didn't speak to me. She just ate her cereal in silence. Mark noticed. He didn't say anything, but his eyes looked sad. Days passed. Nothing changed. I tried again. I gave Eva a toy. She took it, but she didn't say thank you. I asked if she wanted to play. She said no. I asked if she wanted to bake cookies. She said, with Daddy only. Each time, my heart hurt more. I thought about the wedding again and again. I remembered her little voice. I remembered her sad face. I thought about that photo I didn't let her take. I thought it was just one photo, but maybe it was more. Maybe it was a moment she needed, a moment to feel like family. And I took it away. Now, I was not sure what to do. I looked at our wedding pictures again. They were perfect, but they were only about me. They didn't show the truth. They didn't show the people we love. They didn't show a real family. Only a pretty picture. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. 1 week after the wedding, Eva still did not talk to me. I said hello to her. She did not answer. I tried to play with her. She turned away. She only wanted Mark. She followed him everywhere. She held his hand all the time. She never smiled at me. I started to feel bad inside. I did not know what to do. One evening, Mark and I sat on the couch. Eva was playing in her room. I looked at him and said, "Do you think Eva is angry with me?" Mark looked at me for a moment. He looked tired. "She is not angry," he said, "but she is sad. She wanted to feel part of the wedding, and now she feels like she is not part of us." I looked down at my hands. I did not say anything. I felt a small pain in my chest. I did not want to hurt Eva, but maybe I did. Later that night, I looked at the wedding pictures again. I saw me and Mark smiling. I saw the flowers, the lights, the cake. I looked so happy, but I didn't feel happy now. I felt empty. I looked at all the photos and saw no family, just 2 people. 2 people with no child beside them. No small hand. No soft face. Eva was not there. And I started to ask myself, why? The next morning, I packed Eva's school lunch. I made her a sandwich and put it in her pink box. I also wrote a short note on paper. It said, "I hope you have a fun day. Love, Isabella." I folded the note and put it in the box. I gave the box to Mark. "Please give this to her teacher," I said. He looked at me. He nodded and said, "Okay." That evening, I was waiting. I was nervous. I watched Eva when she came home. She did not say anything. She sat at the table and started to eat. I looked at Mark. He looked back at me. I asked him, "Did she read the note?" He said, "Yes, she read it. But she didn't say much." I smiled a little. At least she saw it. That was something. A small step. The next day was Sunday. Mark had work. He asked me, "Can you stay with Eva today?" I said yes. I wanted to spend time with her. I wanted to try again. After he left, I made some breakfast. Eva came to the table. She ate but did not talk. I asked her, "Do you want some juice?" She said nothing. I brought her some juice anyway. She took the cup and said, "Thank you." That was the first word she said to me in days. My heart felt warm. I said, "You're welcome." After breakfast, I asked her, "Do you want to go to the park?" She looked at me and then at the door. "Okay," she said. We both got ready. She wore her pink jacket. I held her hand. It was small and soft. We walked to the park. She did not talk much, but she stayed close to me. I pushed her on the swing. She smiled once. It was small, but it was real. I smiled too. We stayed at the park for 1 hour. We did not say much, but we were together. That was enough. When we came home, Eva went to her room. She looked calm. Later, Mark came home. He asked, "How was the day?" I said, "It was good." Eva looked at him and said, "We went to the park." Her voice was soft. Mark smiled. He looked at me. I smiled too. The next day, I did something new. I printed one photo. It was a photo of Eva at the park. She was on the swing. She was smiling. I put the photo in a small frame. I placed it in the living room on the shelf. When Eva saw the picture, she stopped. She looked at it for a long time. Then she looked at me. She said, "I like that picture." I said, "Me too." I wanted to say more, but I didn't. That was enough for now. A few days later, Eva came to the kitchen. I was making cookies. She watched me for a minute. Then she asked, "Can I help?" I said, "Of course." She rolled the dough. She used the cookie cutter. We made hearts, stars, and bears. She smiled. She laughed. It was like the wall between us was starting to fall. I looked at her and said, "Thank you for helping me." She said, "I like cookies. I said, "Me too." That evening, she gave one cookie to Mark. "I made this with Isabella," she said. Mark looked happy. I felt happy too. We were sitting at the table, all three of us. It felt simple. It felt right. The next night, we sat on the couch and watched a cartoon. Eva sat between me and Mark. Then she moved and sat on my lap. I did not move. I did not speak. I just held her. She looked up at me and said, "Can I be in the next pictures?" My eyes filled with tears. I hugged her close. "Yes, sweetheart," I said. "You will be in all of them." That night when she went to bed, I sat with Mark. I told him everything. I told him why I said no that day. I told him about the pictures, about my feelings, about the moment I said no to her. He listened. He held my hand. "You made a mistake," he said, "but you are trying to fix it, and that means a lot." I looked at the wedding album one more time. I did not feel proud now. I felt sorry, but I also felt hope. Because maybe next time, things would be better, not just for me, but for Eva, for Mark, for our family, the real one. Weeks passed. Things at home felt better. Eva spoke to me again. She smiled more. She asked for help with her shoes. She gave me drawings from school. They were small things, but they meant so much to me. I was careful with my words. I listened more. I stopped thinking only about myself. I started thinking about her too. One evening, Eva showed me a picture. She had drawn our family. There were 3 people, a man, a woman, and a small girl. They were all holding hands. She pointed to the woman. "That's you," she said. I looked at the picture. My eyes became wet. "Thank you," I said. She smiled and ran to her room. I sat on the couch and stared at the drawing. I felt something strong in my heart. I wanted to be the woman in that picture, not just in her art, but in her real life. The next day, I went to a photo shop. I brought the park picture with me. I asked them to make a bigger copy. I also brought one of our wedding photos. I put both in new frames. At home, I placed them side by side. One photo was just me and Mark. The other was Eva alone. Now they were together, not in one photo, but side by side. It felt better this way. That evening, Eva saw the new frames. She smiled. "That's me at the park," she said. I said, "Yes." "And you look very happy." She nodded. I was happy. Then she looked at the wedding photo. She was quiet for a moment. "Maybe next time I can be in that one too," she said. I knelt beside her. "I wish I could go back," I said. "I would change it. I would put you right in the middle." She looked up at me. "It's okay," she said. "I'm in the next one." I wanted to do something special. Something just for Eva. I asked Mark, "Can we plan a photo day?" "Just us and Eva. No big event. Just fun." Mark said, "That's a nice idea." We picked a sunny Saturday. We dressed in simple clothes. We took her to the park, the same one from before. She wore a yellow dress. I wore soft blue. Mark wore a white shirt. We walked, we laughed, we took pictures. This time, she stood between us. We held her hands. She smiled in every picture. I held her when she got tired. Mark lifted her on his shoulders. We sat on the grass. We shared a sandwich. The photographer was kind. She said, "You look like a family." I smiled. We are a family. The photos were ready in 1 week. They were beautiful. Eva looked so happy. Mark looked calm. I looked real. Not like a bride, but like a mother. A woman who had learned something. A woman who had grown. I picked my favorite photo. It showed Eva kissing my cheek. I put it in a new frame. This time, I placed it in the center of the living room. Not to the side. Not in the corner. Right in the middle. Mark saw it first. He smiled. "That's a good choice," he said. Later, Eva saw it too. She ran to me. She hugged me. "I like that picture," she said. "Me too," I said. I kissed her forehead. My heart was full. I knew I had made a mistake before, but now I was trying to do better, and she saw that. A few days later, Eva's teacher called. She said, "Eva talks about you a lot now. She says you are her second mom." I held the phone to my ear. My hands were shaking. "Thank you," I said. "That means so much." After the call, I sat in my room. I cried. Not because I was sad, but because I was thankful. I looked at our home, the toys on the floor, the shoes near the door, the photos on the wall. It was not just my place now. It was our home. I was not just a wife. I was also something more. Maybe not her real mother, but something close. Something that mattered. One evening, Mark asked me, "Do you still wish the wedding was just for us?" I looked at him. I thought for a second. Then I said, "No. I wish I had made space for her. I thought it was just my day, but I was wrong. It should have been our day. All 3 of us." Mark didn't speak. He just took my hand and smiled. That was enough. Now, when I see a bride, I don't only see her dress. I look around. I look for the small faces, the quiet ones in the corner. I hope they are not left out. I hope they feel seen. I hope they feel loved. Because I learned something. A wedding is not just a start for 2 people. It can also be the start of something bigger. The start of a new family. A real one. A strong one. A kind one. And now, I don't want perfect photos. I want true ones. Photos with messy hair, with chocolate on the mouth, with small hands reaching up, with laughter and hugs. Those are the pictures that matter, because they show who we really are, a family. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.